Hello, hello.
How are you?
I am well. How are you, my friend?
Good. I'm great. I'm great. Happy to be here. Happy to be on episode 60. Yes.
What?
Yes. The first big goal was 52, right? I want an episode for every week and we're just going up, going up.
Right.
Yes.
Delighted to be here and in conversation with you, my friend.
Absolutely. Me too.
We were talking before we came on, y'all, Women Connecting Wisdom. We are grounded in the 8 dimensions of wellness, which we're about to talk about in our intro. But we live on the ancestral lands of the Muskogee Creek near Atlanta, Georgia.
Yes.
So it is spring in Atlanta. It is spring with gorgeousness and pollen and rain and all that comes with spring in the South. So, yeah, we're excited to be here. Let's do our intro, Shannon, and let's kick this
Absolutely.
party off.
Absolutely. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, right? We know Joe listens, different people around the world listen. I am Shannon Mitchell, a Black millennial business owner, the founder of shealoglo LLC, a handmade shea butter company. I am your advocate for self care and practical business systems.
Hey, y'all, I'm Christine Gautreaux, a white social justice advocate, an international speaker, coach, and published author who helps you upgrade your self and community care.
Absolutely. And together we are Women Connected in Wisdom, a podcast grounded in the 8 dimensions of wellness.
And every week we like to get together for weekly intentional conversations around how to be wise in business, relationships, and wellness. Like there's so much that we don't know. There's so much we know, and we love having these conversations with our guests.
Yes.
Our guest today, I will introduce her in just a few minutes, but she was a referral from a previous guest who a lot of our listeners were asking questions about some of the things she said. So I love
Yeah.
that we've been on the air long enough, Shannon, that now our listeners are asking for, hey, I want to know more about that.
Mm.
And so that's
Hmm.
what today's show is about.
Mm.
Before we jump into that, though, let's talk about what's happened in the world, like
Yeah.
what's going on and what things are popping up for you about wellness. And
Yes. So
yeah,
I was thinking about it, right? And today we're talking about spiritual wellness. We'll give the definition in a few seconds, but I was thinking about how to really do it all, right? How do we focus on all 8 dimensions all the time? And then I thought about, well, what do I focus on every day, right? Of course, all of them you could really say are every day, but definitely spiritual wellness. And our conversation before we came on air reminds me of how spiritual wellness really shapes my motivation, right? Me being mindful of the posture of my heart and how I respond in different situations. Because I'm in a lot of situations, I could respond differently, maybe not with as much grace or not with as much honesty as I choose to live my life with. But it's because of my spiritual wellness and my spiritual identity that I choose to stay grounded in certain things. So we were talking about let's see, let me pull it up. Is it over here? Let's see. What is it called? The confirmation hearing, right? And if I'm honest with you, Christine, I think about your wisdoms and your wisdom. Yeah, your action. Let's say your action pieces in wisdom when we talk about wisdom in action, right? Yours is usually more on community. I'm going to call this person. I'm going to write a letter to this person. And I say, well, I should do that more. I should be more politically conscious. And even though that's a goal and I'm working on it, I also realize that because we're different in certain areas, my focus right now does have to be more on myself and setting up the foundation of everything when you have the opportunity to have the space to be set up and go ahead and reach out to the community. So that's what I think about my spiritual wellness and being okay with where I'm at, knowing that everything is taken care of and operating wisely from my position and not losing my joy in the comparison of, well, Christine can do this, I should be doing that. Well, no, we're different,
right.
and that's why we're connected.
Well, and good point, Shannon, because I think it was Ralph Waldo Emerson, but don't quote me on that, who
Got
said
it.
comparison is the thief of joy.
I use it all the
And
time.
right, and And it's a yes and, right? Because we have
Absolutely.
different ways that we engage in things. But speaking of talking
Yes.
about the confirmation hearings, today is actually a call-in day, and
Mm.
we're right at time because we started at 5. But you can still reach out to your legislatures, y'all. We want to confirm Judge Katanji. I hope I'm saying her name right.
Mm.
Brown Jackson. She is the first Black female that has been nominated for the Supreme Court. And y'all, this is historic, but also
Yes.
she has more qualifications than anybody that currently sits on the Supreme Court. If you have been listening, and if you haven't had a chance yet, I highly encourage you to tune in by audio or visual to
Mm.
just listen to this amazing woman speak. I caught her last night at about 12 hours in. She had been testifying for 12 hours.
It's a long time.
And she was brilliant, and just brilliant on so many levels. And I was saying before we got on, y'all, her patience, like, she shows you why she should be a judge and be measured and be neutral. Because I'd already reached and pinched somebody's head off. Like,
You keep saying that. I think about the visual, like just the
I really am a pacifist, but that's one of those things. I'm like, what are you doing? You're
Yeah.
misbehaving.
Mhm.
So yeah, what an action for this is to just call your senators and say yes to confirming her. And we can share resources on why we believe she should be confirmed. And
Right.
there's so much documentation out there. She is so well qualified, overly qualified, as much as many Black women have to be in
Mhm.
our society. And she's just ridiculously awesome. So check her out. And this is a lifetime appointment on the Supreme Court.
Yes.
But have your voice be heard. Like, I mean, she should be getting confirmed, it looks like, in all that way. But this is an easy way to participate in our democracy and have your voice be heard. If it's one of those things that you're like, hey, I want to get more involved, or I don't know how to do this, or you can reach out and just call, or you can email and just let your opinion be known. So I always encourage anybody that lives in the United States to let our elected officials know what you believe in and
Absolutely.
and not just the negative, right? This is a
Right.
yes. Like, this
Yeah.
is one of those ways about being connected that say yes. And
Mhm.
she's incredible, y'all. Let's do this.
Yeah.
So, oh yeah. And I also wanted to say, Shannon, talking about sustaining self-care in order to do community care. That's my
Absolutely.
jam. That's
Yes.
what I coach people on, and I really talk about, because if we don't start with ourselves, and not in a selfish manner, but in a manner
Mhm.
of our health and our wellness, we can't be there for community care. We can't be there for doing the things that are part of our purpose and what we want to achieve in the world. We
Absolutely.
lose too many good people way too early, as you and I've had this conversation since the start of this podcast. Like,
Mhm.
we have to start with our physical bodies, and start with our wellness, and start with, you know, checking in on ourselves. It's important that we take care.
Yes. And I love when we do interplay and you say, breathe in between the part that feels good and the part that doesn't. And a lot and noticing that, not judging yourself. There's no guilt or shame, right? That's not necessary there, but paying attention. Absolutely.
Right? Well, and just taking a moment to notice and check in with ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, how are we doing today?
Yeah.
Like, and not the superficial, oh, I'm fine, or everything's okay, but the really checking in with yourself first about what's going on with me today, emotionally, mentally, physically, social, like all the dimensions of wellness, right? Is checking
Absolutely.
in with ourselves. And as you said, it's often hard to balance them all, and sometimes we don't touch them all in one day. They're
Mhm.
there and they're a part of our lives, but we're not actively putting intention on them. But they
Right.
are running in the
Yeah.
background. And
Yeah.
we know when we get out of balance. We know when we need to, and oftentimes it's unfortunately, when we've had a crash, right? Like
Mhm.
when we've had a physical crash, or we're sick, or we're this, and we want to start to tune into ourselves more often and be
Yeah.
proactive about it, and be like tuning in and catching the subtle signs of
Mhm.
when we're out of balance, in order to bring ourselves back, right? Bring ourselves back into our best selves for the work we want to do in the world, or just being, right? Not even the work we want to do in the world, who we
Yeah.
are. So,
Being ourselves for ourselves first. Absolutely.
right? Absolutely.
So, today we are talking about spiritual wellness, and spiritual wellness allows us to be in tune with our spiritual selves. This realm of wellness lets us find meaning in life events and define our individual purpose. It can be defined through various factors, including religious faith, values, ethics, and morals. Regardless of whether you believe in a particular religious faith, there is always something to be learned about how you see yourself in the world.
Right?
Mhm.
I love that definition. I've been going through a women's empowerment program, and we were there this weekend, and we wrote our life stories from our soul's perspective. So I'm
Mm,
excited to talk a little bit about that with our guest. And it was just such a powerful exercise to not only tell my story, but listen to the people in the circle's stories,
mm,
and just understand like the arc of why things happen in our lives sometimes, right?
absolutely.
Are you ready to bring our guest up and have this
Let's do it.
discussion? All
Yes.
right. Y'all, I am excited today to introduce you to our guest, Serena Curran. She has a master's in business and is a spiritual business mentor, teacher, healer, and Akashic record detective, working with spiritual entrepreneurs, visionaries, and change makers. Woo! I can't wait to have this conversation. She is the creator of the Soul Wealth Map and the Business Accelerator program. She's wandered through much of the US and Europe, and in a matter of days recreated her life and her business as she landed in new countries or states. She loves bringing her free-spirited, innovative brand of spiritual teaching and healing to her clients worldwide. With over 25 years of experience, she fulfills her mission of helping spiritually orientated women create freedom, money, and ease by designing and building soul-aligned businesses that tap into their genius and express their spiritual gifts found in the Akashic records. In her work with her clients, she draws upon her training, her education, her experience as a serial international entrepreneur, her background in sales, marketing, and management, along with energy healing, Akashic record reading, and manifestation expertise. Serena is known for her caring, supportive, direct approach and her big smile. She
Mm.
offers online courses, Akashic record readings, and private mentoring programs to assist her clients in achieving wealth by soul design. Oh my goodness. Let's bring Serena up here and have this conversation. Welcome,
Hello.
Hi,
welcome.
Thank
Serena.
you. Hi. So happy to
We
be here, Christine and Shannon. Mhm.
we are so delighted that you are here. And here's what I love about your bio, Serena. So many women, like, they always are talking to us about, oh, you need to niche and you need to do this. And I feel like your bio brings your whole amazing being into the space with us.
Mm,
Like, you've got this master's in business, you're a spiritual business mentor, you're like, and you came to us through Julie Fouch, who was a previous guest on the show, and she
Mhm.
had mentioned Akashic Records, and one of our listeners was like, "Hey, my sister and I were listening, and we want to know more about this."
mhm.
And so it was perfect timing, like how it all came together, and to have you on the show. So, would you tell our listeners, especially those that may not have ever heard of Akashic Records,
Right.
what are they? Why should we know about them? And why are they an incredible tool for business and life?
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for that intro. I had to say I was kind of smiling as I was listening to it. I've had a very busy life and had a lot of experiences that I'm grateful for. So your soul record or your Akashic record is actually the blueprint of your soul when it was first formed. And that blueprint exists in what we can consider a library of souls. So everyone has their own particular blueprint in there. And so that blueprint is in your being, and it's what you're here to express, because your soul is in your body in order to be able to express that blueprint, right? And so when we go in the Akashic records, we can actually pull up that record or that blueprint and take a look at it and see what's in it and what your soul specialization is all about, and what you're here to bring to the planet. And further, we can look and see, the soul is immortal, or in my world, the soul is immortal. So everybody gets to choose about that. But if you think the soul is immortal, then you realize that the soul travels and has had different experiences. And as it has had those experiences, it's made decisions, the vehicle's made decisions that were not in alignment with the soul. And sometimes that creates interferences. And I look at those and find out what they can be past life and present life interferences that prevent you from actually expressing that soul. So that's part of the work that I do. And then, of course, so there's the reading of the Akashic records, but we're also writing our Akashic records. We're also writing our future. So you can see how powerful being connected and working with the Akashic records can be.
Ooh, so say a little more about that. Because when you said, you may not know this about us, Serena, but when you said you were a manifesting, what did you say? You said you were, I missed it. How did
Was
you
it
say
a
about
manifesting
manifesting?
expert?
How did you say that? Hang on just a second.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what you're referring to. I have certainly landed in new countries and new places and created a new life and new business in a few days. And all of the travels that I've done have been based on following my intuition and trusting.
Right.
One of the biggest things I ever did was, it's a long story of how I got there, but bottom line was I came to realize I was going to live in Europe. And if you told me 3 months before that was the case, I would have told you were crazy. But at any rate, I knew that. And so I went home and I had my children move in with their father. I sold my house, all my goods, put a pack on my back, discovered that I was to do healing work, took a few weekends of training, and went back to Europe, traveling along the Swiss, German, Austrian border, not knowing what country I was going to live in, what language I needed to know, not knowing anyone, and just landing in Austria and going, oh, this is where I'm supposed to be, and creating my life from there. So that's the kind of things that I've done in my life, which I guess we would talk about that as far as manifesting goes.
Right. Yeah. In your bio, it said a manifestation expertise. And you may not know this about us, Serena, but Shannon and I met at a Manifesting Monday mastermind. So I have been running mastermind groups for 10 plus years. And I had collaborated with our friend Jovan Treese Tolliver, and she invited Shannon in. And that's how we met. And this collaboration started, was through a Monday manifesting group. And so it always perks our ears up. So I want to hear a little more, Serena, about when writing the Akashic records. And I would think that, like, as far as the manifesting goes, will you talk a little bit more about that, about how that works? Sure. And
well, sure. So right in this moment, you're writing in your records. And of course, you write in your records by the stories that you tell yourself, the emotions, your signature emotions. Let's be careful about that, because emotions come and go. Your signature emotion, your beliefs, your signature beliefs, not random thoughts. There's a lot of things that are taught in manifestation that are not correct, by the way. And so that this is how, and your intentions and your awareness and your decision making, you are actually writing your records in this moment. So, does that make sense to you, or would you like me?
No, absolutely. And when I think about it, Serena, so let's talk about your signature thoughts, right? As a person with a psychology degree, I think about self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So what you think about, what you believe about yourself, that's what you're going to think. So I say I'm building multiple seven-figure businesses. We're not there right now, but you could say that we are. We're building it, right? And we will be eventually. So if I thought that I was too dumb to do that or too dumb to have a podcast for 60 episodes, then we may not have ever gotten here. So that's what I think about with signature thoughts and signature emotions, and how your beliefs become your thoughts, becomes the words that you speak and your actions, and therefore who you are as a person.
Yeah, but it's also going into your records as an imprint
Right.
in this moment, and that imprint is creating your future. So it's all
Mm-hmm.
connected.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it is certainly about signature thoughts, but it's also about what are the stories that you tell yourself about any experience that you have, and can you reframe that story? Because many of the stories that we tell ourselves are disempowering. And so choose, what story am I telling myself, and how would I reframe that so it's an empowering story, and it carries me forward. And that's certainly connected with what you had to say, Shannon, for sure.
Absolutely. And it's so
Yeah.
interesting because specifically around women, I have a story that I rewrote. Not knowing my mom for 12 years, originally I thought that I was limited in the instruction and influence of women and of a woman, right? So maybe I would be left in the dark of how to do things. Do you wash, this is the question I asked, do you wash the colored clothes in warm water or cold water? Like, this is something that I should know. And so things like that I would think about. But then when I reframed it, like you're saying, I realized that because I didn't know her, I was actually more deeply connected to more women, a huge variety of women throughout my life, and clearly continue to include in the variety of women that I'm connected to, right? And that's painted a more intricate picture than maybe one person would have over that same amount of time.
Beautiful. Yes, because there's always a gift in whatever experience we had. My mother was
Yeah,
present, but she was not present. And
I
so
hear you.
I had no parents really. And
I
what
hear
did
you.
that mean? That meant that I learned to go inward to my soul at a very
Mm-hmm.
early age, and to receive direction in that way. And
Mm,
talking about not having patterns, so you don't have a pattern for what a mother is or a woman is. I have to laugh at the thing that you chose, because I never sort my laundry. And I'm telling stories. And when my daughter went to college, she said, "Mom, did you know you're supposed to put the whites in one
yeah.
in another?" So just so
Yeah,
you know, even a mother that was present, this one was like, "I'm taking the easy road here."
absolutely. And it happens, I hear what you're saying. Yes.
Yeah. So just
Well, that makes me
just
giggle,
fun.
y'all, because it makes me think about when somebody says, what is normal? And it's a
Right.
setting on the washing machine,
Hmm.
like that everybody does things differently. And,
Right.
that a lot of times our outside world or media or the people in our life say that external authority says, oh, it should be this way. And what I hear you saying in your work, Serena, is checking in with ourselves, checking in with our soul records, and figuring out, how do we want to write it? Yes, it's a yes
Absolutely.
and. It's like, yes, this may be going on in the world, and this may be happening in around us. But what do we want to create? What do we want to write? How do we want our businesses to be?
Hmm.
Right, exactly. And really the one of the main thrusts of the work I do is freedom, is the idea of having the freedom and to create your business around who you are. And it doesn't have to look like what anybody else does or how they do it. And it's sort of like all these ideas where people have success at doing something, and then they decide that everyone else should do it that way. And
Right?
this is just not how it works. And one of the things I look at in the records is there's 7 keys to manifesting, and those are in your records. And so that right away, there's all these different ways of manifesting, yet it's always taught as you need to have an outcome, and you need to have a vision board, and you need to reverse engineer it. And there are people for whom this has no meaning whatsoever. So
Right?
this
Will
is an
you say
example.
more about the 7 keys of manifesting?
Yeah, they're really qualities that people have, and so it defines. You can use it to define who your best clients are, how you would generate leads. when I do the soul wealth map, it's very oriented around business and how do you use these beautiful qualities of your soul in your business, and how do you align with them so that you're actually using, because that's the path of wealth, that's the path of ease. So there are these 7 keys, and so some people really want to work with people that are like them, but some people need to work with people that are different from them. Some people go in a restaurant and they look at the menu and they go, oh, I want that. They know. And other people go, I don't want that. I don't want this. I don't want that. There's just differences in how we approach things. And those qualities are actually in your soul. So, and again, we have so many formulas that are taught about how to do things when we really, really need to be in alignment with who we are at the soul level.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's like a custom program.
Yeah, it's a custom. Yes, you are a custom program. I did a video yesterday and I said, you're a cosmic being. Each one of us is a cosmic being. And we came here with a soul pattern that was meant to be expressed, not just for this earth, but for the whole cosmos. And so it's critically important that everyone is expressing who they truly are at that level.
And Serena, when people don't, right? I think you said obstacles, or you used another word. When people don't express that, what are some signs or symptoms that I always call it kind of off my path, but you used another term for it? How do you know if you're not in alignment?
Well, there's two things here. One is that you can have interferences, which create patterns that are destructive. For example, if somewhere along the line you took a vow of poverty, and it doesn't have nothing to do with now, maybe you did it in past life, that vow of poverty will prevent you from you can make money, but you'll always spend it or lose it, or it'll go away and won't come back. You won't be able to accumulate wealth. So those are held in your records. Those don't get cleared by mental or emotional healing. They have to be cleared at the level of records. That's just an example. Let's see, I went off a little track there. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought there.
No worries. No worries. We were just talking about if there are obstacles, or you called them interferences. Yes. If there are interferences, how do we know? Like, what are some signs or symptoms? Like, just like we know if we have a runny nose, but how would we know if we're out of alignment with our
so
record?
I started out to say there's 2 tracks here. So the interferences, like they create patterns, or they create prevention and that sort of thing. And then when you're missing, so that's separate. And then you want to align with your soul gifts. And when you're misaligned, things like you keep doing the same thing, you'll keep going around in circles, you'll keep stopping and starting, you won't be able to get forward. You'll be doing a lot of things that you don't really want to be doing. And, in business, there are certain things you do have to do that you're not necessarily in alignment, but you really want to be doing things that are create joy for you, create fun. And so when you're always struggling with your business or having a hard time, these are symptoms of being out of alignment. They can also be symptoms of interferences. So these 2 sort of are separate, but also overlap with each other. The alignment you can correct by knowing what your soul gifts are and making decisions to be in alignment with it. The other things, interferences, don't get corrected that easily. They have to be removed at the soul level.
All right.
I hope
that's where you need a guide or somebody that knows what they're doing, right?
Yes. That's where you need somebody that does that. And so I work a lot differently than a lot of people in the Akashic records, because I do come back with specific information. I'm going to tell you what your soul origination is. I'm going to tell you what your soul specialization is. I'm going to tell you all these things. And not only I'm going to tell you that, but because I've designed this soul wealth map in the same way, I'm going to tell you how to use them in your business. And I'm going to tell you when you're in the negative aspect of it and when you're in the dysfunctional aspect of it, so you can recognize when you step off more easily.
So, Serena, how did you get into this? Like, I mean, I'm just sitting here listening to your wisdom and this beautiful way of being. And how did this happen?
Well, I started out as a hands-on healer a long many years ago, and it's developed as over the years, and I traveled all over the place, and I'd land in new places, and I got to a place where suddenly things just didn't work. And I was like, oh, what is this about? And the Akashic records had been around me for a period of time. And then one day I was listening to a radio show, and I go, oh, that's it. That's what I need, the Akashic records. And so I had my records cleared, and I could feel the energies lifting off of me and my face changing as the energies were being removed. And after that, I thought, this is so powerful. I'm going to really dig into this. And I took a lot of training, like 5, 6 different courses, and out of that created this soul wealth map. So it all happened because of that. But the interesting thing was my soul specialization turned out to be a restoration master, someone who knows how to adjust blueprints and how to use blueprints for manifesting. So I was meant to land here, working with the Akashic records and helping other people to work in their own, once having their records clear, which they do need to have a reading to do that. But once doing that, I have a course called the Freedom Code, in which I'm teaching people the practices they need to have on a daily basis to be able to be writing clearly in their records what it is they choose to write in their records.
I love that you say that about practices, because we often ask our guests, like, what are your wellness practices that you do on a daily basis? And I don't know if those are tied to your Akashic records. I'm sure they are, because that's your specialty. But like, what are some, Serena, of your wellness practices that you do that keep you going every day?
Well, I do energetic work clearing in the morning. I always let go of any energies that don't belong to me or are not for my highest good, and call back any of my energies wherever they've been left. I allow myself to feel my connection with the cosmos. I call in certain energies that I want to experience. I ask for the flow of the universe to come to me, and I send out my energy to meet it. So mostly energetic things. I set how I would like my day to go. I ask some questions. I connect with the Akashic record keepers, which are the guides that allow us access to the records. By the way, I can't go in anyone's records without their permission. They're private. Your records are private until you get permission for somebody to go in them. But I connect with the Akashic record keepers, and I actually write a message. I was going to say every day, but I didn't today. I write a message every day and post it on Facebook from the Akashic record keepers. And I talk to the Akashic record keepers and ask them for guidance. And so that's my practices, I guess.
Thank you for sharing. And so it sounds like on Facebook, folks could learn more or follow you to right. see these. And we'll put those in the show notes for our listeners so they can check this out and learn more about it. Shannon, I see you intently listening. What questions you got, my friend?
Oh, what questions do I have? So this is what I was thinking about. So a lot of times when we talk about manifesting, you say, and you mentioned the difference sometimes between the information that's out there and the work that you do, right? When we're pulling it to the importance of the soul, because for me today, we're soul records, right? That's what we're talking about. Why is it so important to make sure that we're connecting to the soul and not doing it on a surface level? I would love to go deeper into that for our listeners.
Well, I don't know how you do anything on a surface level and have it come out right. I'm like,
right.
That's mystifying to me. It's
that's true. I agree with you. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so yeah, if you want to just fritter your life away, I guess, or right. I'm not sure about that, but we're here to connect with our souls. I mean,
yeah.
But basically, when your soul leaves your body, this thing doesn't work anymore. That's your spirit. It's that breath in, there's your spirit, and that breath out when you leave. And so it really is, this vehicle really is all about soul. Mm-hmm. So to me, there's not a question there. It's only, this is what you're here to do, is to connect with your soul and to really understand what the qualities are of your soul and to put them into the world. And by the way, your purpose to me is to express your soul, but you can do it any way you want.
Yeah.
There isn't any rule.
And so I hear what you're saying. I think a better way to question it, to show you the context of where I'm coming from, right? I think
Mhm.
that most people don't even know themselves, right? We don't look in the mirror. We don't take care of ourselves. We're taught to put other people first and base our life based on the consideration of those around us. So, um, how do you I guess what my question is how do you come from that space of where's my hand? Of that space of not knowing who you are and trying to figure out your purpose to being connected to your soul and centered on an everyday basis? Would you start with going to somebody that has the expertise that you have and getting the reading of the blueprint? Or is there something simple that they can start doing right
Well,
now
there's
while we're on
both.
the podcast? Right.
Yeah, there's both. There's both. And so the first thing to always do, and this is what I teach in my course, is to create safety for yourself. Because
Mm,
unless you feel safe, you cannot do anything. So always creating safety for yourself first, and doing, whatever that means. And if and that includes boundaries. Boundaries are like so critically important. We could spend hours talking about that. But so it's that presence, that getting safe and being able to be here in your body, first of all, of setting boundaries, starting to say, I count. You have to feel like you count. If you don't count, then there's nothing, you can't go forward. So, once having connected with your body, then you can start to look at your emotions and all of the other things. Um, those are, so there are two sort of tracks again of the things that you can do for yourself. And then if you want to really know your soul and get on the fast track, shall we say, or on a new trajectory, then you come and you get your soul gifts and you find out what they are, and then you use them. You learn how to really connect with them and use them. So when I teach in the Freedom Code, I also teach you how to work with your emotions, how to trust, be receptive and trust, and how to create new stories, because it's all of us is connected, to creating. And this is new paradigm business, as far as I'm concerned. The new paradigm of business is that this is the process where you learn how to manage your emotions and your stories, and you learn how to connect with your soul, and you learn how to be receptive so that you can answer your own questions, and so that you can create your own path forward and have your unique expression that we're all needing from you. So
absolutely. And I agree with you in the new paradigm of business, because what we've seen, especially when we talk about occupational wellness, is that um, the employees are upset because the managers are upset, and they're upset because they feel like they're not getting what they need from the higher ups, right? And it all trickles down from all these different things. And again, we could talk about that for a very long time. But I think if everybody as individuals came in from a centered place and being able to trust themselves that they were in line with what they were doing and they knew why they were doing it based on their skills, both occupationally but from their soul, we would have completely different workplace and then life and everything else. But I
absolutely.
also, yes, and I also like what you said, because a lot of times, especially with us being grounded in the eight dimensions, I can see it almost as a circle or a flow, and they're all very important and they're interdimensional, and they rely on each other, right? But I think what you said is very important about the body first. If you're not in your body, then you don't know what you personally feel and you can't be connected to your emotions. And then if you're not connected to your emotions, you can't say, well, where did that come from? Why do I feel this way? And then continue to rewrite those stories and go
Mhm.
deeper. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, yes, definitely. You have to have safety. You have to be in your body. It's really not a
Yes.
very good. When you're out of your body, you don't feel good. You feel
Mm,
confused. You feel flighty. You can have an accident because you're not really present. You're not here. And
yeah.
so all of those things. And in terms of the corporations and this one not getting what they need from that one, and then the bottom line is you've got to go back and ask, what do I need, and how do I
Hmm.
provide that for myself? And that's totally missing in any kind of trainings that school or anything like that. And so this is a new way that we're going to learn how to be, is to really tune into ourselves, find out what we need, and provide it so that we can be that positive expression in the world.
Oh, I love it. Well, and talking about people checking this out, Serena, you have so graciously gifted our audience 3 appointments to chat with you over Zoom for a wealth alignment complimentary call. And so, y'all, we're going to put this in our show notes, and those will come out tomorrow. And you can call Serena and talk about your challenges. She'll do a little diagnoses and then make some suggestions for how for you to resolve your challenges. So thank you for that gift to our listeners, y'all. So check that out, and we will also put all of your how people get in touch with you through your website and through your Facebook, and really figuring that where they can reach you, right? So they can reach you and find out more about you. And I am loving this. We love to give resources to our listeners. We love to give, because there's all kinds of ways to do things, y'all. There's all kinds of ways to approach the 8 dimensions of wellness. There's all kinds, as we know, for the last 60 episodes, like we have incredible women come in here and tell us their modality and how they're doing it and how, so I love this, Serena. I love that you have brought your wisdom and your knowledge of the Akashic records to us today to explore a little bit. Every time you say it, I get tickled because I was raised by public school teachers, and I have a love of libraries. So like when I think about Akashic records, I just think about the ultimate library in the sky and how delightful that is, right? I don't know if that's a good metaphor or not, but that's what I think about. And I also love that you said that about consent, about that, that our soul's record is our soul's record, and that boundaries and consent is important in that aspect of it also.
I just, if I decided that I wanted to go into someone's record, I would not be able to get the right information without their permission. And also the changes that I make in the records, that comes only with their permission. There's nothing done in there that's not with the client's permission. So, and thank you so much for having me. It's been a real pleasure to be able to chat with you about the Akashic records. And I think it's interesting, it is a library, but I started calling it like a Google search for people that are more computer oriented.
You're updating. I love that. Yeah, like you say, we're writing the Akashic records. We're updating. We now are a Google search. Yes, that's more appropriate. I'm sure. I'm old school because I can even smell like the leather in the library books, like from some of those. But yes, you're right. It's quicker. It's quicker with a Google search and to be able to look. Right. I love that. Well, Shannon, you want to lead this next part, my friend?
Absolutely. So every week, and we've talked about this, right? We do a wisdom in action based on what we've talked about or what you're working on this week. So for spiritual wellness, what is something that you're working on that's your wisdom in action?
You're asking me that?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Well, I think I'm going to say my course that I'm developing right now is my Wisdom in Action, where I'm guiding people to actually connect with their own souls and be able to make their own decisions about their business so that they can find ease in their operations and in their marketing, and they can make money without losing all their time, freedom, and all of the good things, and enjoy their contribution, make their contribution they came here to make, and enjoy the process of doing that. Yeah.
Love it.
Oh, I love that, Serena. That says a hashtag. To me, that's a hashtag connect with your soul. That's like if we take it and we make it like Twitter worthy. What about you, Shannon?
Oh, mine is hashtag call back your energy. I use the Palo Santo that you gave me, right, Christine? I actually got some more because I ran out, which is a good thing. And so I think about releasing the energy that's not mine, trying to connect to me. And I woke up this morning, had enough rest. I said, why am I still, this afternoon? Okay. And I usually don't sleep that long. I said, why am I so tired? Where is my energy at? And I need to call it back, right? Call back the energy that is everywhere else.
Oh, I'm so glad you named that because I mean, Serena, it was pouring down rain and gray in Atlanta today. So I was blaming part of it on the weather, but I think
Mhm.
I probably need to do the same thing, Shannon.
Yeah.
Um, so my hashtag, my wisdom in action this week would be intentional. Because I
Mm.
loved what you
Mhm.
said, Serena, about knowing our soul's journey, being intentional with what we're creating. And so I think mine would definitely be hashtag be intentional.
Yeah.
So
And I
Awesome.
actually have another one. I have a couple of them, but I'm
oh,
gonna
go
say a
for it,
second
my
one
friend.
too. Is hashtag creating safety for yourself. I loved when you said that,
Mhm.
Serena. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's
It's
important. Those
incredibly important.
boundaries.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The
Right?
boundary also, not even grounding, but connecting with your body, with your environment around you, and your breath, and
Mm.
Mhm.
and knowing that you're safe, and even speaking to your inner child and saying you're safe, you're okay, I'm here, I'm going to
Mm.
take care of you.
Mm.
So incredibly important. So yeah.
I know it's about time to wrap, but I just want to say this is coming through as far as I had a conversation. I don't even remember what circle I was in because I'm
Mm.
really blessed to be in a lot of circle of incredible women. But we were having a conversation about our breath being the first thing that we connect to when we're born, even before we connect to our parents. Like
Mm.
that our breath is that first connection and that we can go back to that, that to be intentional around that deep breath and the life-giving that it is, and that
Mhm.
that often we don't take time to do that. We're so busy running and going, and that really breath work is not to be underestimated because of how powerful it is, and remembering to take those belly breaths and remembering to take time to take deep breaths and let out the stuff that we don't need to carry with us throughout the day. So
Yeah.
thank you for that
Love it.
reminder, Serena. Thank you for your
Thank you.
wisdom. We
Yes,
are so grateful to be connected with you. We will let our listeners know about how to reach you and stay in touch. And I hope that some of our listeners reach out and make that appointment with you.
Yeah.
And I know Shannon may be one of them. She's not one
I
of our
will.
listeners, but I saw
No.
her jotting it
Yeah,
down.
sure
She's
will.
like, I'm on it.
Yep.
Great.
Make sure I'm
So
aligned.
thank you
Yeah.
so much for being with us. And until next time, we
Thank you,
appreciate
Serena.
you.
No, thank you all. It was
Give me
lovely.
just a second, y'all. My computer is doing something really funky. We're going to put you in the green room, my friend. And
Yes.
like I always like to tell our guests, I wish that we were in person so you could have chocolate and
And
tea,
tea.
but
Yes.
hopefully you're taking care of yourself. Oh, Shannon, that was a great conversation.
It's good. It was
It
good.
makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think a lot about your physical body, right? Your spirit, your soul. I definitely try to be, like you said, intentional about not forgetting the whole all of the dimensions that I am as a person, and that it's not just what top you wear and if you have lip gloss on or lip color. Like really be intentional about your life and how you show up because it affects not only the earth but the cosmos, like Serena said.
All of it, right?
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
powerful. Speaking about being intentional, what you got going on over at Shalo Glow?
Oh, so much stuff. So we're going back to glass. Okay. I know that this was a question. We talked about physical containers, right? So we had switched to plastic and they were talking to me about it in the final. We were in this beautiful room up above the highway in Atlanta at SCAD. And I was stating the reasons why we switched to plastic.
Mhm,
And then I started looking everything up. I said, the reasons are null and void. Glass shatters, but the plastic cracks. The prices are about
mhm.
the same. So we want to elevate it and keep it where we said it was going to be. So I'm excited about the new packaging. We're rebranding. We have other stuff going on. So yeah, we're about to elevate it and get ready for these subscribers.
I love it. I love it. Folks
Yes,
can find out more about Shayla Glow, our sponsor, in our show notes. We're so grateful for the work you do in the world, taking
absolutely.
care of people and helping people glow from head to toe,
Yes,
right?
yes. What about you? What do you have going on in Wisdoms and Wings coaching?
Well, I have a lot of programming going on right now. I have a life practice program for helping professionals that's coming up that I
Mm.
will put in the show notes. Sheila K. Collins, my co-author, and I, through Interplay, we do a 6-month program for folks to really get in their bodies and to learn how to help themselves, but help their clients. So continuing education units or CEs are available for that program. Thanks for asking. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I was working on that and marketing that today. And I'll also put my link tree in our show notes so folks can, I always have 1 or 2 classes going on a week that people can
Yes.
join us at, and through interplay and ways you can connect with me. So I'd love for our listeners, if you want to connect, come be my guest at one of my interplay classes. If it's a long series, I can't invite you to be my guest. You'd have to sign up and participate. But if it's a weekly class, come be my guest and pop in and say hello. And I would love to invite you in. But yeah, thanks for asking, Shannon. So as always, really love our conversations and look forward to more, my friend.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And thank you, ladies, so much for joining us. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you back next week live at 5. In the meantime, be well, be wise, be whole.